Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Social Work Bubble podcast. I'm your host, Laura. Today, I'm really excited because we have a special guest. We're joined by Elizabeth Hutajulu, a social worker from Indonesia. She was working with refugees in the Church World Service Indonesia organization. Now, she's actually been out of this job for 5 months, but her experience is so important and I think really important to talk about. So she's joined us here today. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Hello, Laura, and all the listeners. Thank you for the
Of
invitation.
course. Yeah, we're excited to have you on. Now, before we get started, for those listening, just make sure to subscribe, share, do what you got to do, and we'll get into it. So, Elizabeth, can you tell us what led you to social work in the first place and kind of your journey in social work so far?
Okay, so for that question, what really led me to social worker is actually growing up in a family that really put forward and helping others first. I think it's a cliche reason, maybe, I don't know, but growing up in a family that really, have no excuse of helping others in need, even when we are actually in crisis, but they always tell us to really lending a help to others is the first thing that you have to do. So,
Mhm.
but at first, an interesting one is actually I really don't know in Indonesia. Social worker is not something that everyone is looking for because
Right.
this job is actually not that popular, I could say, here in
Okay.
Indonesia. And even at the university that I am in
Mhm.
um, is actually an old university, but we have never been heard of it. So being here now in the social worker is actually a very interesting one because uh, where I grew up with that kind of family that I described before, and then really dig into that's what really make me right now, and then
Mhm.
stepping to the university that I am joining, that's what
Mhm.
really led me to the social worker life right now.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Mhm.
Did you know about social work growing up, or it was something you kind of discovered as you got older?
Yeah, that's the interesting one. I really don't know that it's not it's a very not common word that I hear like
Mhm.
if we have in a family meeting or even meeting some friends and then like meeting some older friends or some my parents' friend and asking what they work. Uh, Hearing a social worker as their job is so not common. It's
Oh,
really
wow.
not a common thing. But then a mother instinct. They when I wanted to join the university, she is the one that really lead me actually. So she said that I think you have the heart to help others. Yeah, some cliche
Mm.
mother to daughter conversation, but I know for sure it's not a coincidence or only
Mhm.
maybe my mother is only um, just joking, but I know for sure it's not joking. And yeah,
Mhm.
I'm so grateful to have hear her and really have joined the social worker life.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear from a lot of social workers where, social worker kind of found us, where we're maybe not outright
I think
looking
that's
for
the
it.
word. That's the word.
Yeah, but we know, okay, I want to help people. I have a heart for people, and then it kind of ends
Yeah,
up
yeah,
just we find our place there.
yeah. That's right. That's correct.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, can you tell us about like what brought you to work specifically with refugees?
Okay, so actually, in my college, I don't know if even other countries' college in social worker they have the study in refugee because actually in my
Okay.
college we don't have that. So we only the 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 major that we have is only for I think it's elderly. I think we all have that
Hmm.
and some kind of that, but we I don't have the education in refugee. So actually, the one that really brought me to the refugee is the curiosity
Hmm.
because the diversity that we are going to really face. And I just wanted to practice my, the one that I have been learning from the university, and it's a really new field in refugee. And I think it's just the curiosity that leads me to refugee.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Because especially I feel like now we've been seeing a lot more refugees and a lot more people
Yeah.
in need of relocation for safety
Okay.
purposes. So
Mhm.
it's definitely something to like be very aware of and
Mhm.
certainly very interesting.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
correct.
Now, during your time working with refugees, can you
Mhm.
like what was a typical day? What did your work look like?
Okay. Actually, I've been writing some notes because, again,
Hmm.
from the introduction, I've been off for 5 months, and I need to regain all the memories that I've been working with them.
Sure.
So day to day is actually, I think, so then everyone could have the image of what am I working is like in a
Hmm.
shelter. So the refugee is actually living in one shelter. So my organization have like they used to have 5 shelters for the refugees, for the women, for the underage boys,
Hmm.
but because of COVID,
Right.
the border where they are flying through in Indonesia is closed. So now we only have 2 shelters. So we as social workers come to the shelters daily, day by day,
Hmm.
and then there is 20 to 30 refugee that lives in that shelter.
Hmm.
So yeah, we manage their case plan. So what is their goal and stuff like that,
Right.
and individual case plan. Yeah, as we all know, and we also have the the job to manage the housing facility. So yeah, we're not. That is the one thing that actually is interesting working here in my organization. It's not only that we work with the client, but we
Hmm.
also work to manage the housing facilities and then some kind of activity outside also. So
Right.
yeah, so it's a very uh the job is like we're moving here
Hmm.
and there. It's not only like we go to the shelter, meeting with one client, and then case management, and then we're home. Not
Hmm.
like that. Yeah. So yeah, maybe case plan and then managing housing facilities, case management and activity outside of the shelter also. Yeah,
Okay.
that's
So it definitely keeps it interesting, always moving,
yeah,
having something to
yeah.
do.
That's right. That's right.
Good. Now, I mean, in your experience,
Mhm.
something that I think is a problem for many social workers is just having really high caseloads and having a hard time managing the amount of people that you're working with and like
Mhm.
the different supports you have to provide for them. Was that something you also experienced in your work, or did you feel like there was enough social workers there?
Yeah, that's uh it's actually I do relate a little of what you said before, but um actually we only manage, as what I said before, in one shelter we have like 20
Okay.
refugee, right? So
Hmm.
and the social worker there is only 2 social workers, but we have one supervisors that will stay in our desk also. So one social worker can manage like 10 to 15 clients. And
Okay.
well, I don't know out there how much of the caseload and everything that they
Hmm.
receive. But for me, I think 10 to 15 is actually still manageable.
Great.
But again, we're facing someone with different culture backgrounds, with
Mm.
different language, with different tradition and different um different yeah
Hmm.
different background. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's the one thing I think is challenging because
Hmm.
with different language we sometimes have a miscommunications, but we also do have a translator. But when when we are in a counseling,
Hmm.
uh I need to try. I need to tell I'm going to tell to the translator first, and then the translator will translate to the refugee. So it's kind
Okay.
of not direct, right?
Yeah.
So there will always be a miscommunication, and that is one thing that I think is more challenging than
Mhm.
working maybe in another field where social worker is.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember, I think at one of my first jobs,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a therapist. And so I had
Mm-hmm.
someone come in for a therapy session.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there was other things going on, but she spoke Russian and and I don't speak Russian. And
I
and
see.
so we weren't really able to communicate. There weren't translators available. So I had to
Mm-hmm.
use this app on my phone to try to
Oh,
understand what was going on.
oh, that is.
And it was a moment where like I compare it to other therapy sessions where I'm
Mm-hmm.
able to get deep into something and I'm able to like
Yeah.
really get some good insight and
Mm-hmm.
process things. And with this person, we spent most of the time just trying to understand each other.
Yeah,
And
that's yes,
it was very difficult.
it is. It is. Yeah. It's actually good to hear that you've been experiencing that. I mean, like, so you relate to what I'm saying right here.
Hmm. What
Yeah.
other challenges did you notice in that work?
Mm, I think, yeah, apart from that, that is the greatest challenges
Hmm.
for me that I'm facing. Um, it's the demand that they have. You know, here in Indonesia, I don't know. I think, yeah, I haven't had the time to research how is the refugee out there in other country, but here in
Hmm.
Indonesia, we still don't have the law or the regulation that accepts refugees here. I mean, from the
Okay.
government, yeah, from the government, they don't actually legally inform that we accept them.
Hmm.
So they just throw the responsibility to UNHCR.
Okay.
So it's really the government don't really um, want to put hands in
Hmm.
refugees. Even in this past week, there is a news where there's a refugee that came here and makes some difficulties in one part of our area, and the government really is like stating that they don't want the refugee to be here actually.
Hmm.
So that is the one thing that really is challenging for me because I am as an Indonesian, yeah.
Hmm.
So I need to help them, but I could say that we are it's not yet legal. So yeah,
Right.
it's I know it's not illegal, but yeah, it's not yet legal, right? So
Hmm.
yeah, that kind of I have my own law and regulation that I need to
Hmm.
bow down, but I need to help them, and the challenges in myself actually, like I know
Hmm.
I need to help them, but the resourceful is not that much because the government is not
Right.
really there. So, I can only listen to them and really just have them to talk, but not
Hmm.
really help them to the resource that they need. Yeah, that's one of the challenge actually.
Yeah.
Like I'm stuck in between, right?
Hmm. Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
very challenging because you're right.
Mhm.
That automatically means like there aren't resources available to them, or there's going
Mhm.
to be a
Yeah.
lot more difficult to get that. And so,
Mhm.
I mean, your
That's
work is
right.
really cut out for you. It's
It is.
hard.
It is. That is why, yeah, I'm only, uh, 1.5 years. I think it's already enough for me to really
Hmm.
step in that work.
Yeah, absolutely. What typically like what resources did you use the most when you were working with refugees? What would you try to provide for them?
Actually, it's from basic needs. Actually, like
Hmm.
uh, we provide help also and
Yeah.
education, but again, as what I said before, because of the government, so. Uh, we can only depend on the UNHCR, in
Hmm.
which not all hospitals can accept them, right? It's
Okay.
it's it's the hospital that is not under the government, and they are actually more expensive than the one that is under the government.
Hmm.
So yeah, the resources is health, education from the hospital, and it's not from school, from the education, because again, um, for them to be exposed to to the to the local government, and the local people is actually not that not that positive for them, right? So
Yeah.
um, education that we give us from like small organization also that is opening up like a volunteer teacher and some kind of that wanted to accept them.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I imagine, I mean, working with refugees, you're working with people that have experienced traumatic experiences,
Mm-hmm.
like they're fleeing something. What did you
Mm-hmm.
see most often? Like, what were some of the most common experiences that refugees had?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, here in Indonesia, the common things happening between, I could say, between local and refugees. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, well, actually, they already have that bad image, I could say,
Mm.
to them. Yeah. So, um, the day to day that they are having is they are at fear, I think I could
Yeah.
say. Yeah. Yeah, that is why we gather them in a shelter, but we have that that they cannot go out from the shelter after 10 p.m. So
Mm.
then they'll be at safety. So the daily day to day, yeah, most of the time, because they're living in fear, so they stay at the shelter. But there is some of the refugees that have been staying here like
Hmm.
maybe 10 years or even more. They have you know don't have that fear anymore, and
Yeah.
that's good for them, so they can really at least they can show up to really making a life out there, but
Hmm.
still we're still managing their day-to-day activities, so then they really don't touch to a local people that much.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Right. It's
that's
a
it.
very difficult just lifestyle to live then,
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
you're living in fear and you have the
Hmm.
different trauma and stress that you are experiencing in a
Yeah,
completely new space.
yeah,
And I think for the most part, you're just focused on safety and basic
that's it.
needs, and you're not really focused on like building a life at that point. You just
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to
yeah.
settle in.
Hmm. You
Mm.
know, I could say like one of my clients have said that fleeing from their country, they thought that they are going to um, be far away from that fear
Mm.
of the country that there is so much happening,
Mm.
but the one that they're facing here, not being accepted and some kind of that, is actually they are living another fear, but
Mhm.
it's um they could say better, but it's still a fear that they're facing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because I'm also thinking, like a lot of my clients I work with are not refugees, like
Mhm.
they have some kind of financial security, they
Mhm.
live in a city, so they're able to provide for themselves.
Yeah.
And if they move to a new apartment or they move to another city, that in itself is still stressful. And we
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
about how stressful that is and managing it. And
Mhm.
that's a choice that they made for themselves
Mhm.
because they want to move somewhere where these people
Mhm.
are fleeing for their safety, going to a new space. I mean, it's just completely overwhelming.
It is. And yeah, again, you before said that the one that you're facing is they choose to move, but this one they are forced to move.
Yeah.
I could say, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a very challenging one, but I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to really face uh face them face to face and really
Hmm.
gain their trust, because I could say that the the person that they have in this country, which they are fleeing from, is, yeah, I could say it's only me and my organization,
Hmm.
right? Because they don't have anyone. Yeah, they have their group and their like community, but as a refugee, still the one that can help them is, yeah,
Hmm.
us here, the local people. And yeah, I'm still grateful for that encounter that I have with them.
Yeah, that's wonderful. What is that? How do you even go about forming a relationship where there's trust
Mm.
when refugees are coming in with just complete
Mhm.
lack of safety and a lot of fear?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. First of all, is the translator is actually the one that is helping me because
Mhm.
at first they came to Indonesia, they don't have anyone, they went to the UNHCR to be transferred to my organization. Uh, the translator is really helping. Like the
Mhm.
assessment that I am having at the first time we met face to face as the translator really is the one that she or he like, oh, this is one of my people, so
Mhm.
like the translator trusted me as the social worker. So yeah, I think that's the first step that will really open up their trust to us.
Yeah.
Like when we introduced to the translator already know me also, so the translator really introduced me to the refugee. So that is the first step that really open up the trust, and
Mhm.
really just being there and not um because they can really feel the presence of is this people really wanted to help me or something like that. So I think when we come to really help them, they can feel that, yeah, okay, I can trust this person to
Mhm.
really rely on my life and so on. Yeah, so
Absolutely.
mm,
Yeah. I do feel like that translation piece is so important then, because
yeah, yeah,
I mean, someone being able to speak the same language as you can be so
yeah,
powerful in building that trust
yeah.
and feeling safe.
Yeah, that is also one thing that I really learned.
Mhm.
Feeling safe actually can comes up with when you speak the same language and
Mhm.
when you are from the same background. We
Yeah.
sometimes take that for granted, or we don't see that detail as something that really will uh, happen in the future. But
Mhm.
having the same person that speaks our same language is something actually
Yeah.
really important. Yeah, as you said before.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Now, so I mean, it sounds like you said earlier, you're getting at a lot of basic needs. You're helping them
Mhm.
really get started, providing a safe space for them.
Mhm.
How do you work with the trauma that's coming up for them, if at all?
Mm. Mhm. Yeah, it's interesting actually because I cannot say that I can I know how you feel
Mhm.
to the client, because yeah, actually I don't know how you feel because
Right.
you know flying through another country with the situation that they are having and without any ID to the country that we are flying to.
Mhm.
Um, so facing their trauma is a really, it's a heartbreaking story to hear their story. But
Yeah.
as a social worker here, I need to be professional, yeah, about
Mhm.
what they are telling about the trauma and stuff like that. So sometimes I um, refer them to another professional help.
Mhm.
So I can also refer them to the professional help, which is a psychiatrist or psychology, in which if
Yeah.
from the assessment I see that they are facing a really traumatizing experience out there
Mhm.
that can lead to something like PTSD or something else like that. So yeah, one of the things that I do is to face the trauma is, I
Mhm.
I also refer them to the specialist that they need.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like, I mean, there's a lot of work that you did then to like, you're already providing them with lots of resources and like
Mhm.
taking care of them in that way. There's a translator involved. And
Mhm.
then you're still assessing, do they need further like psychological
Yeah.
support?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
That is
It's a lot to
that
do.
is it is, Laura. But yeah, again, thankful and grateful, and it's a very um it's a very life-changing experience, I could say.
Mhm. Certainly. No, I
Yeah.
know. I feel like it's pretty common, at least here in the United States. There's a lot of
Mhm.
stigma. There's a lot of misconceptions about
Mhm.
refugees and also like
Mm.
immigrants and undocumented immigrants. A lot of them kind of group them together. What do you notice in Indonesia? What are some of the biggest misconceptions of refugees?
Mm. The misconception that I realize here in Indonesia is, I think earlier we also already discussed about them choosing to flee from their country
Mm-hmm.
to find a job. That is the misconception that
Mm-hmm.
we that's what I hear from Indonesia here, because the stigma is like, you're flying to from your country to our country only because you wanted to seek a job here and there, and you only wanted to you know just um fixing your life,
Mm-hmm.
and again, it's not their choice, right? The
Right.
it's again it's they are forced to come here,
Mm-hmm.
so it's never a choice they have to flee
Mm-hmm.
from their country to here. It's a force that they need to flee from the country to here, and not for a job. It's only for safety.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a misconception.
absolutely. I feel like there's always such a lack of empathy from people looking from the outside, like looking in, where it's just like, oh, they are only trying to steal our jobs or do this
Mm-hmm.
and this. When it's like, if you were in that position and
Yeah,
you got to a point where you were forced to leave your home
yeah.
to go to a foreign place that
Mm-hmm.
where you know no one and you're living in fear, wouldn't you want to be met with empathy and some kind
Yeah.
of compassion?
Yes, that that is you put it really good. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, yeah,
Now, can you tell us, I guess, in your experience,
yeah. Mhm.
a situation that you're really proud of, like how it went, how you dealt with it, an experience that
Mm.
went really well?
Mm. Yeah, actually, there's this client where I could say that, I don't know, did I attract, am I attracting those who are problematic, or those
Mm-hmm.
who are being avoided by their groups, or I don't know how to say it, but I always have the chance to meet with the client that is being avoided with their groups, from
Mm-hmm.
their groups, I could say. So there's this client where um, she has been diagnosed with mental health, yeah, and then
Yeah.
she already been to mental health hospital once, and the stigma that she received from their group also
Mm-hmm.
is bad, right? So I am handling her, and there's this one time where she she did some of action where it leads to an accident in the
Mm-hmm.
shelter. So all of the refugee in that shelter really wants her out of the shelter.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she was forced out from the shelter, and but I have the I have the time to talk with her, and then again gaining her trust until she really feels that she is accepted again.
Mm-hmm.
And that really is one of the proudest thing that I have been doing in my work. Gaining
Yeah.
their trust again when no one else is really trusting them, and even herself did not trust in her
Mm-hmm.
also, and you know wanting to end her life. But again, I could say that is the proudest moment that I have been doing that work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What a moment too, because I mean, that's huge to be able to gain
Mhm.
trust in that way and to be able to
Yeah,
form a relationship with someone that you've never known before. Let's
yeah,
just,
yeah,
it's a high stress situation and you're able to just be that safe place for someone.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That is a
Wonderful.
very, yeah, a safe place for someone is really a good thing.
Mm, wonderful. Now,
Mhm.
for other social workers that are also working with refugees or even people that are
Mhm.
interested in pursuing that work, what's one piece of advice you would give them? Something that you really learned or something that's shaped you?
Mm. Okay, an advice, yeah. Actually, when this question comes up, I really can't put it in words because I just rather, just tell my story and you take that as
Mm-hmm.
an advice, But if you say that one advice, um, I could say pay attention to their history.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the things that is crucial and something that have made her to be the one person that is her right now.
Mm-hmm.
So the history is crucial and be more uh understanding in that history and what leads her to be
Yeah.
her right now. Because it's a it's a chaotic history, I could say, what that they have been facing. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's one
Wonderful.
thing I
So
could say.
really like leaning into that empathy piece, being very
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
understanding,
That's true.
really understanding of like where they're coming from.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, yeah.
Wonderful.
Even when, you know, many people say that they're not meant to be here, or
Mm-hmm.
they're just here to gain some advantage or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can hear them, but yeah, don't just accept it, and then you
Mm-hmm.
don't want to work with the refugee and stuff like that. Yeah,
Right.
understanding. That's right.
Absolutely. I also, what I gather from your experience too is
Mhm.
it's important to know when it's time to switch things up, when
That
it's time to
that
take care of
that is true.
yourself, and because like
That is
you're still
true.
in social work, but you are just pursuing a different role now. And I think
Mhm.
that's so important where some social workers, they just like stay in it when maybe they need to
That
take
is
a
true.
break, and that
That
will
is
show up in your work.
that is true. Yeah, I think that's. Thank you for putting that out. Also, I mean, yeah, for a social worker, it is totally normal to like um putting out our self-awareness about, I think I need to stop that, like they still need help and stuff like that.
Mm,
It's very normal. But yeah, thank you for putting that out, Laura. Like, yeah, guys, we also need to know when to stop, and
hmm.
socials and stuff like that, and that is so okay to um to take that. And it doesn't mean that you don't want to help them anymore.
Yeah.
It just mean that, yeah, your time has been out, and you're going to have another person that needs your help.
Hmm.
That's it.
Absolutely. Oh, this has been wonderful. I feel like it's been so refreshing to also see there's people like you out there that are
Yeah,
helping refugees and
yeah, yeah.
doing this work.
It's such a pleasure to be here, Laura. I'm so thankful to have the time to really share this experience that I have been facing the refugees, and hopefully my stories will be a meaning to other social workers that is going to uh, make some steps to refugees. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm confident that it will. Now, for those listening, can they continue to follow your journey anywhere? Like, are you on social media? Are you open to that? Or,
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm still planning on making a social media that is really about my work. But
oh,
the social media
great.
that I have right now is only for personal stuff. So,
Okay.
but if you want to follow me, it's my Instagram is at Elizabeth HTGLU. I'm from Indonesia, and it's actually pronounced a different one in Indonesia. But
Hmm.
yeah.
Sure. Well, I'll link it below so people can keep
Okay.
up to date with you and then follow your professional page later on. Thank you so much for
Okay.
coming on.
Thank you so much, Laura.
And for those listening, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment, any kind of feedback if something really resonated from today. And we will see you next time. Bye.